Welcome to GOS Media. I'm James Frost. A general who was known to be wise and cunning in warfare was leading his army on a campaign and decided to spend the night in a cave system. He wanted to survey the area the following morning, so he kept some of his soldiers with him and sent the bulk of his troops onward. Now, word got to the general's enemies that he had made a blunder and was truly defenseless. A rival king gathered his vast army and began marching towards the cunning commander, intending to overtake and destroy him at morning's light. As night was falling, the general received word that the king was marching, and the general's remaining soldiers asked what they should do. The general knew he was in a very precarious situation. Worse, it would be impossible for his army to return before the enemy was upon them. So he came up with a daring plan. Just before daylight, he ordered his soldiers to lean their weapons against the rocks and start a fire for cooking breakfast. Confusion and terror filled the soldiers, but they trusted their leader and they knew that he was the wisest of all. So they did as they were told. For his part, the general found a perch where he could overlook his men as well as see when the king was approaching. He then pulled out his flute and began making merry melodies. It was only a few minutes later that the king's army crested the hill. Upon hearing the music, he halted his march and pulled out a spyglass to look around. Something was just not right. The king saw the few soldiers laughing and making breakfast, all the while their weapons were far out of reach. Soon his spyglass found the general on his perch playing merry tunes. Seeing this, chills ran down his spine, and the king swallowed hard. When the general looked his direction and acknowledged his presence with a head nod, the king called his military advisor and told him they were in a trap. The cunning general had sent false information about being alone as a ruse, calculated to lure the vast army into an ambush. He ordered his advisor to turn the army around, and they fled back to their land. No doubt the general and his handful of men dodged a bullet, or rather, dodged a sword. His blunder did create a dangerous situation, but it did not create a crisis of the mind. If from pride he stood and fought, well, he and his small band of soldiers would have been slaughtered. If from fear he ran away, he would either be trampled to death by the pursuing army or be labeled a coward and deposed as a general. Instead, he made use of what he had, where he was, and with whom he had to fashion a strategy, not just for survival, but to also drive the enemy from his land. It seems the cunning general fully imbibed today's grain of sugar. A crisis is an opportunity, riding on a dangerous wind. Colony, we know you guys have an uncanny ability to ride the dangerous wind of a crisis to a victorious outcome. Share the adventure in the comments, and let's help others learn to play the flute in the face of adversity. On behalf of GOS Media, thanks for stopping by. If you enjoy our videos, then please like, subscribe, and share with others. If you want to support our work, then become a Colony member by joining us on Patreon or pick up some merch from our website. Links are pinned below. Once again, thanks for tuning in to Grains of Sugar. I've been your host, James Frost.